adjourned. We're going to take up our budget presentations, and first one will be soil conservation. Come on down.
Come on down.
I heard you say soil conservation. We are natural resources, at least more so, but that's fine.
All right. Well, welcome, and could you give your names and your positions?
I'm Jeff Hahn. I'm with the Conservation District. I'm just a board member.
Megan Hollander. I'm the district manager of the Leavenworth County Conservation District.
Welcome.
Thanks. So the district has been a part of been a district for years and years, and we appreciate your continued support for all of our programs that we have done throughout the years and all of that. We have lots of programs that we do with younger kids, adults, and provide scholarships for kids graduating high school, and lots of things that we use the program funding for. We also work closely with the Farm Service Agency and the Natural Resource Conservation, and they're all based out of Oskaloosa, Kansas. Just some numbers we'd like to kind of throw out there. With CRP this year, Leavenworth County has a general fund of
$58,204
worth of
CRP payments.
Yes.
They went out.
Are you referencing a certain page on here? Or you just,
No, we didn't have that earlier. They never get that stuff brought together until now. I mean, we really had to pry it out of them even today. She's like, it'll be generally this amount.
But I can get these numbers sent to you as well.
For sure. But what else we got? We got
so we have CSP payments.
Conservation Stewardship Program.
With working with the NRCS for Leavenworth County is $56,000 roughly, and then with EQIP, these programs all provide environmental quality, so things like terraces.
Environmental Quality Incentive Program. It's NRCS's biggest program. Their federal money was just...
What was the acronym?
EQIP.
EQIP.
Yeah. Their money for 2025 federally was, for the state of Kansas was low, especially on our end of Kansas. So the number that they received, often years that'll be upwards of $200,000. This year was $14,000 administrative to do that. But that was just the number for 2025. There's been... What has there been? I think there was over $2 million in like a 10-year period back there prior to this. So that's Like I said. So we work specifically with NRCS. We are the county's only our obligation. The Conservation District's obligation to NRCS is to provide basically administrative assistance for them, and they provide all technical assistance for the county.
An example of some of these projects that we do are things like grass waterways, terraces that help farmers with erosion and different things that help with costs to kind of keep things in the land and stewardship all put together. And
so do that, and there's also smaller programs that state cost share provides that will do well closings, help people work fix ponds, livestock watering systems, things like that. Most of it's, we just cover a portion of the cost of it, and then they're supposed to go out and they're obligated to do it. But those are just kind of the highlights. Besides education, things like that, we've got a few pieces of equipment that we provide for the county. It's like a dirt scraper that helps, repair structures, do things like that. We've got a couple of drills for planting critical flow areas, and establishing grass where we need to be. That's one of the bigger things that we do. So those kind of programs. So we were asking. So we always got. In years past, our budget we were receiving $80,000 and $100,000 because we had several employees, we had a technician that would help do NRCS stuff. We've came down over the years. We got down to $45,000 when we consolidated our office out into Oskaloosa, so we no longer kept an office here in Leavenworth and moved it out to Osceola years ago because that's where all the NRCS offices for Leavenworth and Jefferson County are in Oskaloosa. So we cut our budget back to $45,000. That's going on probably about 8 years ago. A couple years ago, you guys asked if we could take a budget cut even more. And we could. We thought it'd be short term. But, so we've been at 25 the last couple of years. We're asking for 45. We get matching funds from the state. So whatever we get from you guys, we get that amount up to, like $22,000. It's supposed to be a 50% match. And I think the cap on that's like $22,000. Last year, the state specifically, I don't know why the federal side of it had no money. The state had extra money, so we did get an extra almost $30,000 from them to bolster our budget. But
yes, and that is not, they did not say that would be continued or...
Yeah, it's not. Doesn't sound like it's going to be continued. But the matching funds will be. So whatever, if we don't get any money from Leavenworth County, we don't get any money from the state.
So we'll go with questions. Commissioner Dove.
Not yet.
No.
I do have a question. The $25,000 we gave you last year, did you then get matched $25,000 or $22,000?
Yes. No, they
so
did.
You were matched.
They matched 100%.
But they will only match up to a certain amount. Right?
Their standard deal is to match 50% until the funds run out. Then they start matching beyond that. But they generally cap it at like, I think it went up, might be $22,500.
Well, I think that's when we made that decision, and Mr. Lawford, you can correct me, I think we were trying to make the decision at the point where you were going to get the match.
You get the maximum match.
Yeah. And we were in a kind of a, I don't remember the exact statistic, but we've cut back our outside agency funding from the county by a significant amount. I think nearly 40%, if I recall. Does that sound right?
Yeah, certain areas took a bigger cut than others, but that's probably close to right.
But if we maintained it, you'd at least get your match.
Yeah, absolutely right.
All right. I'll go around the horn one more time. Any additional questions?
I don't.
All right. Thank you for
waiting. I'm sorry it took so long.
That's fine.
25 minutes after we expected. That's fantastic.
Sorry.
Great for us.
The Guidance Center.
Reference, table, podium, table?
Wherever you're comfortable.
All right.
Morning.
Welcome. Good morning. All right. Want to get started?
Kind of walk us through and tell me where you're referencing as you go in the packet here.
I will do my best there. Good morning. My name is Stevie Durkin. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Guidance Center. I'm going to allow Chloe and Sarah to introduce themselves, please.
Chloe Grabansky, Crisis Director for the Guidance Center.
I'm Sarah Brown. I'm the Clinic Administrator for the Leavenworth office here.
And usually we have Paul Slavadnik, our Chief Financial Officer, with us. He decided to go on vacation. Yes, he thought he
Good timing.
So, yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you all about the Guidance Center. And I just wanted to start out on a couple things to thank you all for your continued support of mental health and recovery services in Leavenworth County. Not only in the financial support, but I also want to point out your engagement over this past year. Last summer, if you remember, we came through with a legislative town hall that was hosted by our Association of Community Mental Health Centers of Kansas. It was hosted here in Leavenworth at the Riverfront Community Center during what I believe was the county fair week. So I know it was incredibly busy, but I appreciated the engagement and you all coming out to learn a little bit about what this CCBHC program is. I gave you details of that last year. Please know I'm happy to walk through any of those details to help you all understand what the CCBHC model is. But that is a certified community behavioral health clinic model. And in short, that was a change for us a couple years ago. We're still the Community Mental Health Center serving Atchison, Leavenworth, and Jefferson County. But now we are also a certified community behavioral health clinic. What does that mean? In short, it means we've expanded services pretty significantly in all three counties. Last year I came in and I was here in 2017. We had 140-ish employees. Last year, I don't know if I said around 240 or 250. We're about that same mark. One of the things that we've really kept our eye on is, one of the things that I mentioned is that we were going to be adding quite a few more staff members. We are positioning ourselves to make sure that we're financially efficient and we're meeting the demand of the community, and not just having individuals in the organization that maybe demand is not indicating that we're ready for quite yet. So we are in a position where we are continuing to focus on financial efficiencies and overall quality in the service that we provide. So part of the question that I got last year from Commissioner Reed was a little bit of like, hey, these Google reviews, when you see them online, and that was one of the first things that I noticed before I took the job at the Guidance Center. And what I said at that time was that internally we didn't really have a process to kind of gather survey data from patients. Chloe's team has done a really good job of doing that when individuals come through Guiding Lights. We have started. We've got 104 responses, and I sent this over electronically, not ahead of time, so that's on me, but I have printouts for that. What we're seeing is internally the quality, and people are identifying that they're getting better as a result of our care, which is what we obviously are here for. Not that you all don't have enough to read already. I also included a legislative testimony that I gave to the Bethel Oversight Committee a few weeks ago. I got through that, which was quite the experience. So I just wanted to give that to you all to take a look at. And then one other document. And this is an event that I would draw your attention to. Our adult psychosocial program. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I would suspect not. It is a group of individuals that have been diagnosed with severe mental illness. A lot of these individuals have been in and out of psychiatric hospitals, not able to maintain an overall quality of life or stable functioning on their own. And so there's a group of individuals that comes to the Guidance Center on a pretty much daily basis, except for the weekends. And what we're teaching them are emotion regulation skills, life skills, things like that. What's really cool about this group is that they are hosting a mental health awareness fair next Wednesday, and I know that you all are busy, in the afternoon, where these individuals are talking to certain community members about what the Guidance Center and these services, not always from just the Guidance Center, but what these services have meant to them in their life. So if you are available, we would love to have you there just to learn from those that receive services from the Guidance Center. I think it's a really unique opportunity. So, a couple
at
things.
the Guidance Center?
I'm sorry?
That's at the Guidance Center?
Yep, sorry. Yep, here in Leavenworth. So again, I wanted to continue on in my written proposal to the county. Essentially what we're asking for is continued stable funding. As I mentioned last year, and I don't suspect that things have changed for the county, that ultimately you all are tasked with very hard decisions. So we want to make sure that we are just requesting stable funding, and that is $291,237. What we are seeing internally at the Guidance Center is that we have expanded all of these services. So those can include mobile crisis response, medication-assisted treatment, individual placement support services where we're helping individuals get back into the workforce or pursue an educational placement. We are required to provide those services to people regardless of their ability to pay. Regardless of their ability to pay. We will not turn away individuals if they cannot pay. In my packet that I sent to, I did include our sliding fee scale because that was a question that came up last year, so I wanted to provide that information for you all as well. But as we've expanded these services, much like last year, what we're seeing are more uninsured individuals accessing care, which we love, and that's what we're here to do. What that means is it's hard for us internally to budget off of a growing uninsured population that we're not really sure how to account for all the time. Does that make sense? So what we've seen is a decrease of about 5 or 6% in our Medicaid population, which helps us cover our operational costs. That has dropped 5 or 6%, partly due to an increase in uninsured population. So we're experiencing that little bit of a gap in our funding. So your continued support, along with Jefferson County, and we hope to get Atchison County on board, back on board soon. The county support helps us close that gap. So your continued support is vital to us. I've already talked a lot. I don't want to steal any thunder for Chloe and her team, so I'd like to pass it to Chloe.
Hi. So crisis services is a relatively large component of what we do here in Leavenworth. We have Guiding Lights Crisis Stabilization Center that's on 711 Marshall Street. Since it opened in September of 2023, we've had 1,199 individuals from September 23 to end of April 24 admit to Guiding Lights. Over, by and large, the amount of individuals using that are Leavenworth residents. So over 900 of them are Leavenworth County who come there. Mobile crisis has been a really large push that we've been doing for our catchment area, but Leavenworth, again, is our highest utilizer. From April last year to end of April this year, 300 of those responses have been in Leavenworth. And one of the things we're really proud to share is that for all of 2025, we had 141 mobile responses, but from January 1 of this year to April, end of April, we've had over that number. So we hit, I think, 149 at the end of April. So that growth has been really massive for us, especially trying to work with reducing the use of law enforcement and EMS for mental health crisis. So one of the things that I'm happy to share as well is that our diversion rate from individuals being involved with law enforcement or going to the ER is just over 80%. While we would love to have that be 100%, 80% is still a really promising number, and that has shown great work with the partnership we have with the sheriff and with Leavenworth PD. Andrea Kessler is our co-responder with Leavenworth PD, so she goes out with law enforcement and is dispatched to calls as well as doing follow-up for mental health calls that come in. So that partnership has really helped get people out of the jail and going and getting the mental health help that they need. And with Sheriff Dedeke, we actually have one of our crisis clinicians go into the jail, and she provides mental health services to those that are detained. These are not things that we recoup cost on or we make money on by any means, but we're happy to go in and provide those services. And then we're having conversations with them about how to utilize mobile crisis for the large volume of mental health calls that the sheriff's office gets, because we recognize their time is valuable and we want them responding to the calls they need to, where we can step in and help from the mental health aspect. So we've really made a large push in these crisis services. And in addition to those three programs at our crisis center, we have walk-ins and we have crisis calls that come in 24/7, 365. So even if someone doesn't admit, they're able to walk through our doors and they're able to meet with one of our case managers or one of our clinicians. We've expanded our clinic hours there, so I have a therapist there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then one there from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday through Friday. She's also there on Saturday, and then I fill in on some Sundays. So we're trying to at least have a therapist on site to provide those services, and really wanting to reduce the use of emergency services for mental health when we can step in and help in that role. And I'd be happy to answer any questions related to our crisis services.
One additional thing just in closing that I would like to kind of point out, and I certainly won't bore you with the details of this. The state of Kansas is really interested with the CCBHC program. It's a significant investment from the state of Kansas. And what they're really focused in on is making sure that that investment is demonstrating a return on investment, which we support 100%. We're all taxpayers here, and we want to make sure that that's part of it. Our team has worked through an EHR optimization project. If you've ever gone through something like that, you know what we're dealing with. To get into a space where we can really report to you all, to the state of Kansas, other counties, other partners, that return showing that people are getting better at the Guidance Center. It's a welcome step for community mental health to be able to build the infrastructure to collect that data. So we're excited to do that. My hope is that next year when I'm coming here, or any kind of quarterly reports or annual reports, that we're able to give you, a different variety of data to demonstrate the impact that we're making. So we stand for any questions that you've got.
Okay. I'll take us around the horn. Mr. Dove.
Not yet.
Mr. Reed.
There was an individual that I had spoken with this last week, because I did look up your Google reviews again. But there was only one, which happened to be somebody that I knew. Oh. And so they had said they didn't believe that issue was resolved, so I thought I would bring that up to you.
Okay.
And then, do you guys do anything with, like, what would you suggest? Like, there was a hot topic on social media this last week. If we have a member of, I guess, what would be called the homeless community, or whatever you would say,
sure,
that's appropriate, that's set up on a sidewalk or even near a business or whatever, and then there's rumors, of course I don't know the individual, about mental health. Do you guys have any way? I think the community really struggles because everyone I think cares. I find the Leavenworth community to be very concerned for each other, generally positive, but I think we struggle to know what the right thing is, and people end up just fighting each other, which doesn't help the individual that we're all concerned about. So what do you suggest to the community? Is there any hotline, any resources for us here to be able to reach out?
That's a fantastic question, and I know like you're chomping at the bit for it, so I'll turn it over to you.
So anyone can call the Guiding Lights phone number for mobile crisis. So if there's someone in the, and we've had members do this, we've had a local restaurant downtown was like, I have someone out here, they're seem intoxicated, they're yelling, I don't want to call the police, I care for this person, can you guys help? And mobile will go. If we need law enforcement support, we will make that call, but we go out in pairs, we make sure that individual is safe. If we can get them to Guiding Lights and help them there, we will do that, because individuals don't have to be suicidal, homicidal, or any extreme to come to Guiding Lights.
Okay.
They can show up and say, I'm in crisis, I'm having a hard day, I need help. Okay, let's help.
The one caveat I would create is like if they're not willing, then that changes a little bit. But I mean, we are a good initial point of contact, like Chloe laid out. I mean, the ability to kind of engage in the community and offer support. Ultimately, we want it to result in the right level of care in the right location. So I think it's a fantastic question, and we're here as partners with that.
And people change over time, and so do services, and so I think it's important to even broach that again when it comes up if possible. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Mr. Culberson.
No, I don't have anything.
Mr. Smith.
Not at all. Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple for you. Percentage of homeless individuals suffering from severe mental illness. Do we have information on that? Ooh, do we know?
I'm not off the top of my head.
We have a large unhoused population that's dealing with mental health. The bulk of the individuals who access crisis services are unhoused and uninsured. So it's a very high percentage. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we could look and get that.
If you could get me, I'd be interested in knowing. In your crisis response center, you had, was it $11.99?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What types of cases are we talking about, and what kinds of issues do people face when they're interacting with the crisis response?
Absolutely. It varies. We have individuals that say, I'm suicidal, I want to end my life. We have individuals under the use of substances, and LVPD will bring them and say, I don't want to put them in the drunk tank. Can they come here? So it can be those things. And then we have individuals who, they've lost their job, they've lost a pet, they've had a fight with a spouse, they're having a hard time, dark thoughts, wanting to cope differently. So it really can be anything. Our motto is the person defines the crisis. So that way we can meet people where they're at and give more people services. They come into Guiding Lights. Our typical unit schedule is they meet with a case manager in the morning. They will meet with a therapist. They will work with a mental health tech on coping skills or daily living skills, and then they'll check out with a case manager in the evening. But if they need more engagement, more services, we have that as well. We also can do an intake for TGC services, so that way when they leave where we're at, they can go over to the guidance center and continue to engage in their medication management, therapy, things like that, because one contact with us isn't going to resolve a whole host of issues, but it's a variety.
Is there any kind of a typical case that stands out, or is it all across the spectrum?
It's all across the spectrum. Predominantly, I will say, people having suicidal thoughts or dealing with really bad depression and anxiety, as well as substance use, would be the primaries.
And that follows up on my next question: is what percentage of folks that you interact with and in the crisis center are struggling with drugs and alcohol?
I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but I would say easily 50 to 70 probably would be a ballpark percentage I feel pretty confident about. A lot of it, mental health, substance use go hand in hand. People cope with their mental health by using substances, and then when they're using the substances, their mental health gets worse.
And you said there was a number to call. Could you give that number?
Yes, it is 913-416-4497.
4497. So it's 913-416-4497. If you're having an issue and struggling with something, you can call that number.
24/7, 365.
Very good. You have the mobile crisis response. How does that interact with the crisis response center? How do they dovetail together?
So Mobile Crisis is housed out of Guiding Lights, so we've got a couple offices there. I've got a supervisor full-time, and then we're bringing on case manager, a part-time case manager, and then a peer support. So that's an individual with lived experience, and they're certified as a peer from the state. The calls come in to Guiding Lights at that phone number. We ask a couple basic questions. Is it safe there? Are there weapons? Are there animals? If so, can those be stored away? Tell us about the situation, and then we send a dispatch out, essentially, where one of the individuals who works at Guiding Lights goes with another responder who's an employee of the Guidance Center. If we do need law enforcement, we will reach out. We've had Tonganoxie and Lansing PD call for us to join them, as well as EMS. They go out in a pair, they respond. The whole goal is to resolve that in the community, because that reduces people going to the hospital or calling law enforcement. They'll meet them there. They'll walk through the crisis, what's going on, do a risk assessment. Are they safe to stay at home? Can we resolve this here? If so, they'll resolve it there. We then follow up with everyone we come in contact with, either through crisis, who calls mobile at 24 hours and 7 days. So it's not just a one and done. We try to provide that ongoing support and get them into our services.
So one way that people deal with mental issues is through their faith. How do you interact with faith-based organizations, or how do you encourage people, if that's the way they're dealing with their mental illness, to interact with those groups?
Yeah, I mean, I think that ultimately, we've got a couple partnerships with local churches. I mean, one hosts our summer psychosocial program, but ultimately continued with the theme that I gave last year. Is like, we're really trying to be externally facing and interacting with a wide variety of community partners. When it comes to faith-based, I mean, with any client that comes in, we're just going to meet them where they are. And if that's an aspect of their treatment that they identify as a support, then we're going to help facilitate and kind of work with them to get the resource and support that they need, wherever that may be. But we're really in a focused effort to really just get more information out about the Guidance Center, because I feel like most meetings that we have, people are learning new stuff about what we're doing. But we want to collaboratively engage with any community partners. So those listening online, I mean, if that's something that the community would love to interact with us, we are certainly open to those engagements, and I'd be happy to take those calls and facilitate those meetings.
Very good. Any additional questions?
To piggyback off of one of your questions, if you're going to come back to us with the homeless population numbers from Leavenworth County, I would like to know what percentage or amount of those are organically from Leavenworth County instead of coming in because we have a shelter or something like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Culbertson?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you all.
it.
Appreciate it.
Let's see here. LCDC.
Morning.
Morning.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Good morning, I guess.
Oh, you just turned it on.
Here to answer any questions you have. You've got in front of you a request for a budget for the next year.
I guess I would say, this is actually not a request from LCDC. This is a request from the Leavenworth County Port Authority. I don't know why it says LCDC. So
That may have been just an oversight by one of the girls in the office. I don't know.
I would say
Is this the money that's funded back to LCDC?
that is part of the funding. The Port Authority does fund
So
the
that's what I'm
LCDC.
wondering. Okay.
Historically, LCDC was funded separately from LPA, and
Right.
a couple of years ago, you dropped the LCDC portion of it.
But this money we're seeing here at the request for 85, what is that's money that has a good chance of going back to LCDC that's needed there. That's
Certainly, yes. We are connected to HIP. There's
Yes.
no question about that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you have a presentation, or you want to just go with questions?
I guess, if you'd like to hear it, I kind of, the letter kind of states some of the impact that we've had. It's been the Port Authority is a long-standing organization since 1969, used to encourage economic development along the river, but as that kind of Logistics has changed over time. It's expanded its efforts to do economic development throughout the entire county. They are established by Kansas statutes, and they are one of 2 active port authorities in the state of Kansas. They also rely heavily upon LCDC for its staff work and for its marketing work to attract businesses into Leavenworth County.
So I guess we'll go Mr. Duff.
Nothing.
Mr. Reed. Mr.
Why do we?
I've got Mark, the 85,000, or what was the money was there any money set with them next year, or did we not pass that on to them because we're having a disagreement on something? I'm not clear on what the LCDC funding, is that separate from this?
No, we did not directly fund the LCDC.
But this is the money
that
that
goes to the Port Authority, and then the Port Authority reallocates. However, if you're talking about 2026's budget, there are no funds budgeted. That was during the budget process that was moved.
And the reason was because we couldn't come together on.
I think there were multiple reasons. One of them being the desire for the Board of County Commissioners to have a seat on the executive team for the LCDC. The other one being, I think at the time it was, I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but I think that they have around $800,000 in their bank account already, and I think now it's like $750. I think is probably correct. Something, I think, according to the documents are here. But that's my recollection of it.
Okay, but we also know that because of that, we've had to let one person. We've let one person go down there, and they have not been replaced. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's right.
I guess what I'm going to get on my soapbox about is, in the beginning, a couple of years ago, I was listening to having the person on the executive board. But for 2 years now, or however long it's been, we haven't been able to come together on that. And I think we should be funding them something. The 2 boards that aren't able to work this out aren't the ones suffering. The people think suffering is the county, because they are really one of our economic engines. Whether we like it or not, we've talked about setting up something else. We've never done it. So where else we're going to have somebody that's promoting Leavenworth County? And yes, I'd like to see somebody sitting on that executive board. And I'm talking to you commissioners, sit on the executive board. And I know it's not time to vote, but I also think we should be funding Port Authority, especially the small amount that I see here in front of me. That's just my 2 cents.
How much do you have in reserves at the Port Authority right now?
I'd have to look that up. I think you have the budget or the financials in front of you. I can pull it up. But it is about
750.
Yeah.
Did you fund the LCDC at a lesser level than you had the previous year?
Obviously, that's why we reduced our staff. The staff
what did you fund? What was the reduction from the Port Authority to the LCDC last year?
So they've actually
Reduction in funding.
to LCDC.
Yes.
They've actually been covering the cost to help us stay afloat. So they've been.
No, but I mean, compared to the previous year, was there an adjustment in the budget from the Port Authority to the LCDC?
just one staff member, if that's what you're asking.
No,
I'm
your
not sure-
budget, the amount of money that went from the Port Authority to the LCDC, did that change?
It changed a little bit, and it went up last year a couple thousand.
So you received the same amount of money
Pretty much.
LCDC did, yes.
from the Port Authority?
Yes.
So there was no reduction. If you received the same amount of funds, there was no reduction from the county that caused any employee to be lost, correct?
There was an overall reduction in the last 3 or 4 years from a general, how much money we've gotten.
No, but I'm talking about between last fiscal year and the current fiscal year, the amount of money that went from the Port Authority to LCDC was about the same.
It was.
Okay.
Is that
When
correct?
you frame that question, yes, sir.
That's the way I was. So there would be no blame to the county for a staff person being let go because your funding level was the same.
We've had to find ways to refocus and reduce the resources. That was one of the ways, and so it has caused.
But what I'm saying is there was no direct cut from the county that resulted in that loss of that person.
Considering the county didn't fund us the last 2 years.
You have $750,000 sitting in the reserves at the Port Authority. You fully funded the LCDC, so there was no change in the amount that was funded to the LCDC.
Yes, the way you said that, but that was
right. I mean, so
we didn't reduce.
So we didn't reduce for what the money you received. It was the same from Port Authority to the LCDC.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my second question is: does the LCDC take a position on various projects across the county? For example, does the LCDC take a position on the Call Valley Sand Pit proposal? Have you taken a position on that? And the second question, does the LCDC take a position on bringing the Hyper Data Center into Tonganoxie? Have you taken a position on that?
We have not officially taken a position on those specific projects, but however, we have taken a position on economic development, projects that have economic development impact on the community. Projects that bring new jobs, projects that bring capital investment, that help spread the tax base and reduce the burden on homeowners.
So did you appear at the
Yes.
hearing for Call Valley, and were you speaking in support of the project?
I was speaking in support of the economic development impact that that project would have on our community.
So, okay, let me delineate that out a little bit more. So your organization supports the Call Valley Sand Pit proposal, is that correct?
We support the economic development impact that it will have.
Okay, that's a little different. That answer's a little different than what I asked. Does your organization support the Call Valley project?
I'll keep my answer the same. We support the economic development impact that it will have on this.
So when you were speaking at the hearing, was your organization taking an advocacy position supporting the Call Valley organization coming into the county?
Commissioner, this is beneath you to seek out a particular answer by asking your question and framing it in a particular way to get the answer that you like. The bottom line is LPA
Okay,
and LCDC.
hold on, sir. Beneath me, I'm asking a question, and the reason it's important to my constituents is there's a lot of constituents in the district that are not in favor of the particular program. If LCDC is receiving money from the taxpayer, and then they're coming in front of this organization and they are lobbying on behalf of one position, which is to bring the Call Valley Sand Pit in, and I have a lot of my constituents that are in opposition to that. We're using taxpayers' dollars to lobby for a project that there's a lot of opposition to. That's the point. It's not beneath it is certainly an issue with residents.
May I explain? My job as an economic developer is not to determine whether a project is right or wrong for a community. That's up to the governing body. My job is to accept those inquiries and then bring it to the community. So I don't get to choose whether it's right or wrong.
So in previous renditions, when we've had the sand pit coming up before us, we have never had LCDC coming in and making a position. But now we are.
I don't agree with that.
But they haven't come.
No, I don't agree with
They
that.
have not ever lobbied on behalf of the sand pit.
I think what they've done is they're trying to tell you that their job is to tell you if this governing body or whoever makes a decision, this is what the pros and cons are. They're not saying go down and do it. I don't read that like that at all, Mike.
Okay, well that's why I was trying to smoke out the answer here. Is
you can't smoke out the answer when she's already given you the answer of what her job is. The job is to seek out economic development for the county. Her job is not to approve that particular project.
Right, and that's why I'm asking the question, because previously at the Call Valley hearing, the LCDC had not appeared and made such a statement. In this recent hearing, you did appear. So what it appeared like was that you were taking a position supporting the project. So are you saying you're not necessarily supporting the project, but if the project goes through, you support the benefits that the project would bring?
I would say that we are in support of projects that bring economic development. But again, I don't get to choose whether that's right or wrong. I don't get to choose whether you accept it or not. It is my job to bring those projects to you all, and then you all get to decide.
Right, and that's. I just wanted to get a clarification on that, because that when we use taxpayers' dollars for an organization, and then that organization it's the same way when the school districts pay attorneys to go sue the state. Your taxpayer dollars are advocating. So anyway, I feel like
excuse me, Chairman. If you use that analogy, the attorney is hired by that company to do a job. It's not his position to say whether it's right or wrong. It's his position to defend that client to the best of his or her ability. Whereas the individuals before us have come and said 3, 4, 5 times what their position is. Not that they're approving a project. They're approving, again, to reiterate that, the economic development that it would bring to the county. Not they approve or disapprove. They are the attorney in this instance that you gave, that's saying that I'm doing my job. I'm not approving or disapproving. And I really object to this type of question to individuals coming before us, because it puts them at a point of having to defend their position when there should no position to defend in the first place.
Well, I'm sorry that you're offended by the question, but
I'm not offended. I'm offended at this board allowing this type of question to continue to go on and on.
I think the problem I have with it, when you ask it over and over again and it's the same answer, I think you should accept the first answer, maybe the second one. But when we asked 3 or 4, it was very clear to me that she was trying to say, both of them were trying to say, we go out and we look and see what's the positive things that the county could do, whether it be property tax, sale tax, something like that. They're not saying they've got a million more things to do. Once the governing body or whoever takes that, then they move on to the next one. And I think sometimes we don't need to be putting words in their mouth. They're answering. I think your point is very taken. You can frame a question that makes it look like this is what you want or this is what you want to come out of somebody's mouth. Chairman, she was very clear. This is just a thing. They're not going promoting it or not. I would hope that our economic people would show up wherever and just say, this is what we see and this is what it will bring to it. Not that they agree with it, not that they want to see it, but you got to be able to have that conversation.
So my intent here was to get a clarification and to find out exactly what your position was, to find out if you were in fact advocating for the proposal or if you were just basically standing by and saying we're in favor of all economic development. That was my intent.
Mr. Chairman.
So let me ask, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I would just like to give them the floor. I feel like I would like to hear them talk more about the Port Authority's desire for the budget. I just feel
I'm going to come around again, and then you'll have full chance. So same answer with the data centers, same answer?
Same answer.
Okay. Let's ask you another question. On the last 2 years, we've had this issue that we wanted to have a representative of the county. It doesn't have to be a commissioner, but a representative of the county on the executive board of the LCDC, and that's been an issue between the two, and why you didn't receive funding last year. Is there a reason we can't come to an accommodation on that issue? Not necessarily putting a commissioner on, but maybe putting our county administrator on your executive board. I've asked a lot of people, and a lot of people say that if you have the executive board and you're receiving money that it's indirectly coming from the county, that those are county funds, so why shouldn't we have a representative on your executive board?
The honest question, and when Mr. Smith, Commissioner Smith, assumed his role on our board, first thing I did was go over to him and said, there will be times when we go into executive session where I have to ask Mr. Smith to leave because it's confidential information. When we deal with clients we're trying to bring, and I say clients, that would be inappropriate, businesses that want to come to Leavenworth and we're encouraging to come to Leavenworth, this may be a 2, 3, 4, 5-year process. They don't want any of that information released until they're ready to go, ready to come and everything. And we can't hold public officials who cannot sign NDAs to that. If you know what
Well,
I'm
if we had a
saying.
representative from the county, it wouldn't have to be a commissioner. It could be one of
But
our
he can't
staff.
sign an NDA as
Well,
well.
why couldn't? There is a possibility he could.
Okay. It's those sort of issues. We're not political. In fact, you're appointed. Cities and the county appoint the members to our board on LPA, for goodness sakes. So you approve, or you're the ones who allow us to serve in our positions voluntarily. We don't get salaries, we don't get paid for it or anything. But we're still bound by that secrecy as it were when we're dealing with clients. We're not hiding anything. That's just part of what business does.
And I don't think anybody objects to that, but I think the issue is we ask to have since we're giving the money, why can't the board have a representative on that executive board?
I guess
So-
my question is, we give money to a lot of different organizations, but we don't have a county representative on their executive board. And I guess I'm trying to figure out if that's practice, shouldn't it be practice across the board for who we give funds
We actually
to?
did discuss that in our budget cycles in the past about that maybe it should be, especially if you're giving a substantial amount.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go on, Commissioner Duff. It's your shot at the questions.
I don't have any more to say, with the exception of, I believe that when we invite individuals before this board, that they should be treated with the appropriate respect of doing the very best that they can for the county, such as this, as looking for economic development, not approving that source one way or the other. And when it goes to planning and development, and whether it's approved or not, it's not up to them. It comes up to us, and to treat them with the type of respect that I've seen here today and in the past, I think that is unquestionably the wrong message that we are sending out as a Board of County Commissioners. I would ask that they treat with the same respect as the board expects to get from others.
Commissioner Reed.
I would not be comfortable with the county administrator signing NDAs. So if we have that discussion again, we'll have to figure out something. If the majority does, that's fine, but that's my personal opinion. And then, is there anything you guys would like to say in support of your budget request?
I suppose ultimately, when you look at the long game in that particular sense, it's the Port Authority and LCDC kind of connected to HIP and everything. Bottom line, we brought in over $551 million worth of economic benefit to this county since their inception. The amount of budget that we request is minuscule compared to the other communities around us, Olathe, Lenexa, Shawnee, that we are competing with on a day-to-day basis for these businesses. As far as the positive return, you can't beat that anywhere. But
and how long has that been that you've been doing this?
Since 1969, LPA.
And you brought in how many dollars?
$551 million.
That's in 5 years. It was due largely to a major project, but in one shape or form, we've helped many businesses that have invested that much into the community.
Within a 5-year period.
Yes.
That's where the bulk of it has come from. And you're saying, and what has happened is that because of lack of funding, wherever it's coming from, is that you've had to let go one individual within your organization?
She did leave, but we had to make the decision not to replace that position.
Okay.
Because of the disagreements with the county commissions, which is their right and their privilege to do so, we had to then go into a different mode of operation in the sense that, okay, we're going to try to find our way back to the county commission to get funding from the county again. After all, I believe, regardless, it's a fairly large amount, without inconsequential that we're asking for. But given what our employees have to be part of, which means part of business associations in Kansas City at the state level and things like that, in order to even bring Leavenworth County to play. In other words, we have to be at the table in order to play the game. We have to be part of that. In fact, we're thought of well enough at the state level that we've been asked by state representatives to form a port authority at the state level, of which Leavenworth, Kansas, and Stafford County would be the two of them that would be the chairs of that particular committee at the state level. After all, the port authority structure can be used in all 105 counties in Kansas to help with economic development.
So you're not receiving any matching funds?
None whatsoever.
From anyone in order to carry out those endeavors?
We're working on that. If we can bring it up to a higher level at the state, perhaps we can get some funding from the state. But no, at this point, no. We receive none.
How is Leavenworth County doing as in respect to other counties within the state of Kansas as far as economic development?
How do I?
That's tough.
I can point out the negatives. We lost a hospital. We lost doctors. We've lost pharmacies. I'm a pharmacist as a profession, though retired now. So we've lost pharmacists, nurses, and everything in between. You look at that particular angle, not well. We have brought in some businesses. We have a business park down in Tonganoxie. We've got a couple large businesses in now. We've got Gary Carlson out there. We're about ready to introduce a new business out there. We're losing the CMOP operation, which is 330 jobs. It's hard to blame anybody in the county for that. That may have been political at a federal level, but nonetheless, we weren't on top of that situation to do our best or do a better job of keeping them. We may never have been able to keep them. So it ebbs and flows, but right now, unfortunately, most of it is ebbing the wrong direction. We need to focus on, and as a taxpayer, and especially somebody who pays personal property taxes, we need to bring in businesses that reduce the burden of personal property taxes on people. A healthy economy, and just for the board's record, I've got an MBA in corporate finance, which includes a specialty in econometric modeling, which means I know a lot about the economy and how to build it and things like that. I won't consider myself an expert at it, but I have a lot of background in it. Leavenworth County, right now, a healthy economy would be 70% of the personal property taxes being paid by rooftops. I would argue that in Leavenworth County it should be 60-40 because we have such a state and federal imprint or footprint on this county. It should be 60%. Does anybody in this room know or can grab hold of the data and tell you what the tax penalty is on the house roofs in this county?
90-10.
Mark, can you help us out with that?
I do know, yes.
It's over 90%, I believe.
Yep.
It is 93.
Yep.
And it's without bringing in more businesses, without bringing in more rooftops, the personal property taxes have no choice but to go up.
Correct.
That's what we're targeting. That's what we're challenged with. And that's what we have to do. But we can't do it on a shoestring budget. When you look at, for instance, Olathe gets $5 million a year for a committee, not LPA, but for a committee like us. And we're asking for how much?
$229,000,
which is a reduction from 4 years ago where we got $350 between the two committees. No amount of fundraising we can do in the private sector is going to make that difference, but we're still fighting. We're still trying to bring business in. Thackron, our latest one, is a win. We're bringing them in out in the business park out there. Go ahead. Sir.
Yeah, since you brought that up.
Yes, sir.
Do you know where we stand in the state of Kansas?
No, I don't.
There are 105 counties in the state of Kansas. Leavenworth County is last. We rely more heavily on residential property taxes than any other county in the state of Kansas by far.
Thank you.
By far. The only way you fix property taxes is through commercial and industrial development.
Thank you.
I've heard this
Rooftops does not.
over and over again. Even when I was a state rep in Washington, D.C., that subject came up between individuals, and they were comparing us, believe it or not, with counties in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and I think Wisconsin came in that mix. And we were dead last then, and that was 10 years ago. So
We can't continue to hope.
we need
Lumber
commercial-
County is behind, and a lot of it has to do with all of the governmental institutions,
Yes,
that are,
it
facilities
does.
that are in the county. I mean, we get that, but we can't help that. I mean, they're here. We still have to find another way,
Yeah.
and that's through additional commercial and industrial development that pays. First of all, they're taxed at twice the rate of residential, and secondly, their valuations are considerably higher. So one business pays the equivalent of 100 homes, a small business, and then when you add their sales tax impact in, if they collect sales tax, it's also worse.
No, it's very clear. It's like build a business in a business park. It takes one road, one sewer line, one electric line. You put in, I believe the last figure was like 400 houses, and look at all the utilities, not just putting them in originally, but putting them in over the long period of time, even after the developers have left. You have to replace those roads. It costs a lot of money, but not for one road, one electric line, one water line, all those places. We have to have the business, and right now, I believe we're one of the few economic drivers in Lumber County. Ultimately, you all get the credit for it because all we do is bring them to your table.
Is that statistic that you quoted in this presentation as far as the last 5 years?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Was it 550?
551.
I don't know if
Million.
what presentation are you referring
The
to?
growth, the job.
In 5 years.
In 5 years, you brought in 551 million.
That's the impact. 551,933, 550. It's all there.
I just didn't see it in.
Yeah, I didn't. I added it for a report
Okay.
today. I can certainly get that for you.
Okay.
Yeah, could you get us a copy of that?
Yes, I will. Commissioner Doug, you asked a question about how are other communities faring comparatively, but I may not be able to answer that exactly, and it's also a little bit of, each community is such a different community. However, I will say I communicate often with a lot of my counterparts, and you're talking Wyandotte County has the same, an economic development organization, Lenexa, Shawnee, Olathe, Platte County. I'm just thinking of people in my head that I see all the time, and we talk about these things. So without an organization like this, we are less competitive with both of these organizations. So absolutely, I mean, our surrounding communities are doing that. Manhattan, Kansas, Wichita, Topeka, they're all doing this. They see the value in having an organization that does business attraction for their communities.
Thank you, Alicia. It's behind the scenes things that happen, little things that are done that actually make the big things happen. And I can see your organization as those individuals who are behind the scenes working every single day to make it better for Leavenworth County. However, and then it goes back to without those commercial businesses coming in and not subsidizing, but adding to our tax base, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. And if individuals believe that more rooftops are going to make it better, nope, it doesn't work that way. The numbers do not make up the difference.
I've heard a saying through the years where they talk about, I think it's misused and misquoted, about small businesses being the backbone of the American economy. I'm not sure it's so much true anymore, but I wouldn't want to argue. But one thing that is true is big businesses are the backbone of the American tax structure.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to fight for our fair share of those big businesses in all of Leavenworth County. And that's what we do every day with a group of volunteers, generally made up of appointees from the county commissions and the city, business leaders in their community who bring a wealth of expertise to the table, perhaps connections, whatever it takes. We lost a big player recently when Mr. Kaz stepped down. This was somebody who was connected in all ways with the highway industry and knew which highways were coming and everything, served as our representative on the Highway 5 improvement, which has now been pushed back another 6 years. So that was very disappointing, but to lose somebody like that on our committee and everything. But those are the people that sit on our committee.
Yeah, I appreciate your point as far as the small business and I guess I think it takes both. You know, we need small business and we need large corporations, I think, to make Leavenworth County successful and have what we need to offer. And I think, you know, hopefully we can make some movement together. Is there anything else you feel like I want to make sure you got out everything you wanted to say while you're here?
No, we're here at your pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Culberson.
I don't really have anything. How easy do you guys think your job would be selling lots, like say in the industrial park on Eisenhower, if the Eastern Gateway was done? You know, where you're 6 minutes from Quick Trip to KCI Airport.
There's no question. The only thing that it would be easy, okay? Especially with the 20th Street traffic way and everything. The real challenge is from a global look at Missouri. In order to build the Eastern Gateway project, would require help from Missouri to build the bridge, much less 152, the connection, which I believe you're talking about. Since it took us damn near forever to get the Eyeglass Bridge money from Missouri, about every bridge in Missouri is about ready to fall in. I don't see Missouri, ponying up their half of that anytime soon when they have all those other bridges in Missouri to take care of, for a bridge that would take care of specifically Kansas needs as opposed to Missouri needs. Honestly, you've asked, Commissioner.
Right, but if it was there, if the
Oh yeah, just like
how easy would your job
would
be?
Leavenworth be if we had 435? 3 commissioners 50 years ago made a decision not to be part of the 435 loop.
Yep.
Nobody can argue today that was a good
And that's
decision.
basically what the Eastern Gateway is to fix
Yeah.
that. Where they kicked us out of Mark, pulled us out of Mark, and then we lost the 435
Yeah.
loop.
Yeah.
So the Eastern Gateway concept was to fix that.
We fix that.
Yeah. So,
And it's something we should prepare for. I love to use the quote, we have a great job between here, a great road between here and Atchison. Fantastic road. I'm not sure that the money that was invested there was the greatest investment in the world, but we had state representatives that had that road in place.
Yeah.
Federal representatives had everything in place, and then the money showed up at the U.S. Congress level that they awarded since we were losing Castlebaum, and who else we were losing about the same time they retired. They threw them some money. So we got a great road between here and Atchison. So we have to be prepared for those eventualities if it drops in our lap. But you were recently dealing with Fort Leavenworth, who kind of misplayed you, I believe, a little bit with regard to the ambulance service and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know how that's going to fall one way or the other.
that's good. We came out better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith.
Just one thing, just for the county commissioners, we don't set the budget. I mean, we're setting the budget. We're not going. I'm just thinking real hard, and I think I would like to see some support when we get in the budget to help LCDC get back on track. Since they're the only economic engine I see in Leavenworth County to decide something else. And Chairman, that's all I have.
So, not to be misinterpreted, I ask hard questions. I ask it of everybody. I don't want to be misinterpreted for asking those hard questions. I want you to know I'm a member of LCDC. I support your goals and mission. However, I think sometimes we don't work together very well. And I would like to see an improvement on that. I'd like to see it change, and that's why I've always advocated. I thought maybe if we could integrate some of the leadership, maybe that would help. That's all that's about. But I will say this, Unilock, DSM, Hill's Pet Nutrition, we've about filled up that Tonganoxie Business Park, and that's since 2019. We've had a lot of movement down there. That's great. I'd like to see these other industrial parks full, and we have the county land that's coming. I'd like to see that be developed, and I'd like to see us work together on those projects. I'd like to see rail come to this county. But we used to have rail everywhere, and now we have no railhead. And I know in the past you've said a high percentage of folks trying to come will say they can't come because there's no rail access. And so I think that's all of our goals. But when I'm talking about economic development, I also think of what the Board of Commissioners has done in the last 5 or 6 years. And I think of the millions of dollars in roads, bridges, infrastructure that we've spent. We've paved more roads in the last 6 years than have been paved in the previous 30 years. We used the ARPA and the CARES Act funding. We used that to pay for roads, bridges, and infrastructure, things that last for the future. Our kids and our grandkids, those will be here. That all is also a piece of economic development because you're building that infrastructure to hold and carry the trucks and cars and people to get to these businesses. So I believe we have had a commitment to this from this board, but I'm not sure that we have worked together as well as I wish we did.
I think that would be an understatement. I disagree with you.
And I just think I do completely agree that we need to get more businesses in, but I do think we have. If I look at the SUP schedule, I looked at our SUPs that we've approved over the number of years, 51 SUPs. We have a lot of small businesses out in the county that are thriving. They're building cabinets. They're repairing engines. They're creating a lot of economic growth on a very small level. But they're providing for their families. They're providing for, and that's an engine of economic growth in Leavenworth County that I think sometimes goes unnoticed. But I do appreciate what you do, but I do think we've got work to do.
I agree with Commissioner Smith that we should look into a further how we can help you guys with what needs to be done, because something has to be done. We just can't sit here on our thumbs and complain back and forth. The one thing I agree with Commissioner Stevens is that we haven't worked very, very well in the past, and I agree with Commissioner Smith that we should change that to the point to where we've got your back in order to make that work. We won't have your total back, but we'll do what we can.
We'll help hold you up. How's that?
Yeah.
Mr. Reed.
Thank you.
That's it.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do Alliance Against Family Violence.
Come on down.
How are you guys?
Good. How you doing?
Well, how about you?
Perfect. There you go.
Welcome. We appreciate you being here. And could you introduce yourself and your title?
Yes, so I'm Jenna Motley. I'm the Client Services Manager with the Alliance Against Family Violence. I also maintain all of the federal and state grants that we do receive. We, as you guys know, are the only domestic violence shelter in Leavenworth County. In 2025...
Can I have you speak up just a tad bit? Because we have some old guys here that can't hear.
In 2025, we provided services to approximately 141 individuals, being shelter and non-residential, offering emergency shelter, advocacy, and support to survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. Most of our funding comes from state and federal grants, which are essential to our organization, but they're really restricted and they don't cover general operations, any building maintenance, facility problems, anything like that. They also don't cover key staff leadership positions. Some things, they're just not grant funded. You can't do them on a grant, employee-wise. That's where the county funding is critical in helping us maintain stability and continue services without interruption. We're only requesting $40,000 this year to support two main areas. First, we have termites in our admin office, and the termites have been treated, but there's some brick repair, masonry work that's going to need to be done there, and the interior wall is going to need to be restored. Second of all, support for essential personnel is not fully funded by grants, so this would ensure continuity of services and proper program oversight. For example, our executive director position is only 6% grant covered, so that majority is paid out of general funds, which is donation money and things like that, fundraiser money. But we haven't really been super successful with fundraising dollars in the last few years.
When you say that, what avenues have you chosen to what avenues have you chosen to?
So we had a person who was hired to specifically do fundraisers, but never really took it off the ground. Just kind of was doing the back work of it, setting them up and things like that. But we were paying her out of general funds. We had to let her go because we can't afford to pay full salaries 100% out of general funds if we're not having good fundraisers and things like that. We did a gala before a couple years back. It's not something we do yearly like the homeless shelter, but that is something that we've talked about. We did coffee and change, little small things, not anything super, super big, which is what's needed, honestly. But yeah, so anyone have any questions?
Okay, we'll go around the horn here. Questions, Mr. Reed,
No.
Mr. Hubbard.
Years ago, I'm old as a dinosaur, so I was one of the founding members of the board many years ago, even when it closed down for a while. The building you talk about, repairs, is that, do y'all own that building, or y'all leasing it, you buying it, something like that?
Yes, we own it.
And do y'all still train law enforcement? I know you meet them there, and that y'all are a big help because you can get the officer back on the street. But do y'all, what's your relationship with how you handle when you get a call?
So that relationship has really gotten a lot better in the last year. Our court advocate, Tally Ross, her name's Debbie, but I think in the community she goes by Tally.
Yeah.
She's actually up there with Todd Thompson often now. She's up there. We're trying to kind of like the guidance center set up, kind of like a crisis response. But again, we'll have to free up some of our general funds to start that project up. But that's something that we're interested in to meet at the crisis scenes to, again, prevent people from going to jail or needing to be removed from the home if they don't have to be and things like that. So that's something we're definitely trying to work on and having a better presence in the court too.
Do you escort them, the victim, and go to court with them?
Yes.
That's important.
Yes, very important.
That's awesome.
Do you work with churches and faith-based groups?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
We don't, I would say we're partners, basically community partnerships. So like how the Guidance Center also said, we meet people where they're at. If they're wanting those type of services, we will get them those. We will refer them to those organizations or give them those resources. But as far as we can't be faith-based because of grant funding and things like that, but we're willing to partner with them in the community for sure.
Can you receive funding from churches and faith?
Yes.
Because that seems like that might be an option to raise some funds.
We've tried recently to reach out for certain different things like security deposits for survivors moving out and things like that, because that's something that we do also. 20% general fund. We have a grant to pay 80%, but we do match 20%. But these are only for domestic violence victims, not sexual assault. So that's a little bit specific. What was the original question?
No, about faith-based groups.
You were getting there.
But yeah, so we did ask them also for like sexual assault support for those services, but we haven't really been super successful. We have a couple that donate small amounts every single month, like we're just on their list.
Do you work or interact with the Guidance Center?
Yes, we do, yeah. A couple years ago was a little bit more. I think they went through some leadership changes. Because we had the mobile crisis team coming very often, but then they kind of stopped. The people kept overturning into new people, and then our clients are like, oh, I just explained to this person what happened. I don't want to tell this person, But yes, we do. We have the crisis team will pick up our people, all that. We will send them there for having an episode or mental health crisis, things like that.
And how do you interact with the county health department? Do you have a relationship?
Yeah, so we have a partnership with them. Really, all though that we do with them is they have came and educated our survivors on sleeping safety for babies and things like that. They also have classes, like parenting classes and things like that they've offered to our survivors. We're able to send our clients there for any care that they need and things like that. But that's really the extent of the relationship with them at the moment.
Okay. One issue that I always talk about in domestic violence is what we know that women are getting abused, but what percent of women as opposed to like men abusing women or women abusing men? Is it about equal?
No, it's not equal. So
It's not?
No. So obviously females are more to be, but we have seen in the last year since we've increased the court services that there is a lot more males. They're just not coming forward. Whether that was unsuccessful in the past or things like that, or fear of what the community might think of you or things like that.
Well, that's what I've read in some of the literature is
Yes,
that,
yes.
that it's approximately equal, but men don't come forward.
Right, and it may be equal. I do think statistics show it is closer to equal, but to us who we serve, it's primarily women. But we do now have, I know last year you asked about direct victims assistance. Basically, like emergency accommodations for males, we do have that now, so that's good.
Okay, that's awesome.
Whereas if they call us and they are needing shelter and they fit our qualifications, we will house them in a
What about
hotel.
families? Like if
Yes,
they have children?
yeah, of course,
that
yes.
They're,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's all I have. Mr. Dove?
Nope.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Do you train the officers? Do you go have monthly or things?
we have
a
not.
lot of young officers don't know what to look for.
Right. So we went to Baser and Tongi in the last 2 years. I believe Tally is setting something up with Leavenworth to get them to be more trauma-informed and survivor-centered because they're kind of, I would say, almost on the opposite side as we are, a little bit sometimes. So it would be good to be on the same side, you know.
Well, I saw that when I was a police chief. I trained with Ann. She's no longer. She passed away. She's one of the founding members. Go across the street. The police officers themselves had a different look at it than they should have.
Right.
And so I worked a couple murders and suicides on domestic violence. So all I have to do is show them that tape or walk them through it, and you can see the officers looking at it totally different.
For sure.
And you're absolutely right. The men would not complain because I'm a macho man.
Yes,
I won't do
yes.
it. But it's a needed service. I appreciate what you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I
So on
appreciate
the budget amount, the 40,000, budget's very tight. If we funded at 30,000, your organization is
Right.
aware that might happen.
You wouldn't turn it away.
Yes, we always shoot for the sky. You know, I'm always going to ask for more. You know,
Absolutely.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that's all I can do. But yeah,
Thank you for all you do.
Of
Yeah, I
course, thank
appreciate
you
it.
guys for everything you guys do. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, Casa.
Come on down.
And before she starts, is this a mandated state expenditure, Mark?
You asking about CASA?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a certain level?
I don't think there's a threshold that the state says we have to have, but I think it's based on the services that they provide.
Okay, so it's unfunded.
It's called a state unfunded mandate.
Say that again.
It's called a
State
state
unfunded
unfunded
mandate.
mandate.
Okay, I heard it that time. It was like stereo.
Unfunded mandate.
Where the state makes the amount that you guys pay for.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Good, thanks.
My name is Kelly Williams. I'm the Executive Director for the First Judicial District CASA Association, commonly referred to as CASA. I have provided our packet information that I just kind of speak a lot. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our programs, talk about our budget, and then answer any questions. When you say state mandated unfunded, I feel that. We certainly do feel at our organization that there is a very big task in front of us to protect children, and we are not a line item in most city, county, state, and government agencies because we aren't considered a funded agency unless the city, county, state, or federal government decides to fund us. But that doesn't change the fact that the services that we're providing are not absolutely essential. And if you have ever had the experience of needing our services or knowing a child that did need our service, I would challenge you to not step back and just think to yourself, how in the world is this something that people have to fundraise to pay for? Protecting children shouldn't be something we have to fundraise to pay for. But that's my soapbox. Nonetheless, what we do at our organization is provide 3 different services for children and their families. Our namesake, our CASA program, is a federal program. I know most of you are familiar, but I will give the refresher. We recruit and train volunteers, normal lay citizens, to become professional advocates for children that are abused and neglected in the court system. These are children that the court has deemed to be abused, and so they are working through their parents are working through the process of trying to reintegrate with them and to get them back home. Our advocates spend time with them in the community. They get to know these kids. They take walks with them. They go to their school events. They truly know how these children are and what's going on in their lives. And then they also do the same with their parents. They talk to the parents, find out what's happening in their lives, where are things with their jobs, their mental health, going to doctor's appointments with their kids. On top of, do they have the ability to maintain a home, keep the utilities on, make sure the house is clean enough for the children to be able to be in the home. It's a lot of tasks that we put on a volunteer, and they kill it every time. They are amazing human beings who work so hard to make sure that the judge knows exactly what's happening in these children's lives and can make good decisions about their future. Last year we served 55 children with CASA advocates, not nearly enough to meet the need, but we struggle to get enough volunteers to be able to meet that need, and every day that is one of our main jobs, is finding more volunteers to serve more children. Another program that we have in our center is our Child Exchange and Visitation Center. We provide supervised visitation and monitored exchanges for parents and their children. So this is typically, for a supervised visitation, this is children who aren't able to have contact with their parent unless it's supervised. That's usually court mandated. Very rarely do we have people who come in voluntarily, but it does happen. But typically it is children who are involved in domestic situations with parents who are either not able to get along, or there's some reason why there is a need for supervised visitation. So it could be allegations of physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental health problems, drug and alcohol problems. All of those things can be reasons why a child would be coming to our center for supervised visits with their parents. And then we do exchanges as well at our center. So if parents are not able to have contact with one another for any reason, we provide that exchange service. So parents do not see one another at our site. They arrive at staggered times. The children children and parents are taken back into our center, and so the exchange doesn't happen outside or in the lobby. The children go from one parent to the other with the security officer or a trained staff person, and it eliminates the need for that child to be in the middle of something that is grown-ups issues and they don't need to be a part of. And then the third program that we operate is our Child Advocacy Center. Our Child Advocacy Center is a way for us to meet the need for children who have experienced abuse or have been victims of crime and need to have one place to tell their story, and from then that story goes on to all the people that are involved in our multidisciplinary team and can work that case in the way that it needs to. So when I say that, that is a child who, for example, has been sexually abused, and we bring that child into our center and we do a forensic interview with that child. When that forensic interview is occurring, law enforcement and DCF would be present and would be watching that interview in real time in an adjacent room. While that interviewer is asking questions, if there's further questions that need to be asked, they'll take a break, they'll go out, and then the law enforcement and DCF is able to talk to our interviewer and make sure correct questions are asked. Our interviewers go to Huntsville, Alabama. We only receive training for our interviewers from what I consider the cream of the crop when it comes to forensic interview training. It's the best practice standard through the National Children's Advocacy, and we send them there because that is the best training available in the nation. So we know that our forensic interviewers are doing that at that level. While they're performing that forensic interview, it's being recorded also, so that once the interview is concluded, we're able to give that interview, which is considered evidence, to DCF and to law enforcement, and then they take that information so that they can use that for continuing their investigation and for prosecution if necessary. At the time of the interview, we also have a family advocate that's providing advocacy service to the non-offending caregiver. So that could be the parent, a foster parent, or someone else in that child's life that is able to be there and not the offender, so that they can then begin offering advocacy services. That can range anywhere from arranging a physical exam at Children's Mercy, whom we partner with, to setting up counseling and therapy. We also work with the Guidance Center, and we have an on-staff or on-site therapist from the Guidance Center, so we're able to provide therapy to the victim and to their family or their caregivers at no cost to them on-site. And so we try to just make sure it's a very multidisciplinary wraparound service, so that once the child tells their story, unless the child has to be on the stand and go through that process, they don't have to tell their story again. It's one time, it's done, and then we provide them with as many services as we possibly can, so that they're able to start their healing the minute they leave that room. We also offer some parenting classes. We always change those as the need changes in the community. Right now, we have always done a parenting class for divorcing parents, because that just never changes, and we always have the need to provide some basic information to parents as they're going through the divorce process and what that actually looks like for their children. But then we also do a parenting in the 21st century, which I still, my kids are grown now, but I still feel like I could take that every 2 years, and it changes. As children change and the world changes, we try to just make sure that we're providing as much parenting education as possible. So we reevaluate that probably every year to see if there's a need to change what type of parent education we're providing, and do so.
How long's the training down? Is that Alabama, you said, or what was it? The training?
For our forensic interviewers, It's in Huntsville, Alabama.
And
yes.
where, how many, is it a week?
It's 1 week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 40-hour training.
Okay, thank you.
We'll go around the horn here. Commissioner Dove.
I know I jumped.
Jump the queue.
Jump the queue. I don't have any questions. I know the council has been very viable. And in the past, I was associated with them, but as time goes on, other things come up and being involved. Personally, I like to go back and start volunteering again, because it was pretty useful.
Well, if you have the time to volunteer, I will definitely follow up with you.
And I don't charge.
Sign him up.
He likes to eat, though.
We feed our volunteers at training.
There you go.
If you feed them, they will.
Just make sure you have the homemade banana pudding ready.
I can make this happen. I can totally make this happen. We are not a bribery to get volunteers.
Did you say homemade banana pudding?
Yeah.
No banana pudding.
You have no questions. Commissioner Culberson.
Did you say homemade banana pudding?
Yes.
That's what I thought you said. Do the other cities, you guys get money from all the cities?
We don't receive money from all of the cities. We receive some funding from the city of Leavenworth.
$8,800?
I'm sorry?
$8,800?
That sounds about right.
Is
yeah.
that, and that's it? I mean, so do you have a number of where most of your customers reside? I would think they'd be mostly in Leavenworth City.
One would think, however, that's not
Is there a way to do
really
that?
accurate anymore.
Is there a way for you to come up with where you're...
Absolutely. Yeah, I can provide you with that information. We track all of our clients based on county and city.
That's the word.
Yeah, well, that's...
So why wouldn't you ask Tongi and Baser, who have police departments, because it's kind of correlated, if they would donate? Have you tried?
We have previously requested funding, and we have not been successful in a lot of those. I probably shouldn't speak for any other city or county, but I would assume just similar to Leavenworth County, when budgets are tight and we have not previously been a recipient of funding, we're not taken into consideration.
Do you have any idea how you arrived at the $8,800 for Leavenworth City's share or request?
We receive, the funding that we receive from them is, we request an amount and then they grant us a particular amount, so that's what we were.
I was just curious how you came up with $8,800. It doesn't sound like it's prorated for use.
I didn't, they did, so that's what they granted us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of getting
I
at.
definitely would have, if I was receiving what I asked for, it would not be 8,800.
Do you know who you deal with directly, the city manager? Is that Leavenworth city manager? Or city
We work through the Community Development Block Grant, and we receive funding from the city, from CDBG.
Okay. That's all I have.
Have you asked directly to the cities, not including the block grant, but just go and present like you're doing here to any of the cities?
We have not requested directly from the cities in several years.
You know, one thing people tend to find out, you folks don't, because you come back every year, but a lot of times people just give up. And things change. You heard us talking about LCDC today, about we haven't funded for a couple of years, and we might be getting mindset. I would always go in front of these cities, and being the mayor of Lansing for all the years out there, I tell you, people change their mind. So I would at least, because you got such a great organization, and a lot of volunteers, and now you got one more with Willie, that everything goes
with banana pudding.
With banana pudding, of course. I would just suggest that. I would just say worst they can say is no.
Your first volunteer's job could be contacting the cities and seeing.
There you go.
Why don't you talk to the cities about this?
So previously I've been the director it'll be 21 years. For about the first 10 years that I was here, we did request funding. And because we had not received funding previously, we were never added to the list. And so if I'm being brutally honest, I stopped asking for me to continue to do a request and spend time and energy on that. I could be asking another funding source and be more successful. So I stopped asking. I certainly understand the reason to go back, and I have no reservation with doing that so long as it starts to yield something.
Well, I think as a city administrator in Lansing for 16 years, I don't remember y'all ever coming before here, because I would have at least put you in front of the governing body to talk to them. And then you could have got a taste of it, and you can tell. But I just think going back, having everybody pay for these services, I mean, they're unbelievable what you folks do. So it's just my 2 cents.
I appreciate it. Listen, I'll ask anybody for money to help make sure kids don't get abused.
So, what about Atchison County? How much money do they give to the effort?
We don't receive funding from Atchison County.
No money.
Surprise.
Okay. What about? So there's another person to ask. What about faith-based groups and churches? Can they participate
in funding?
Yes.
Yes. And we do receive quite a bit of funding from local churches. We receive funding from some churches, like on a quarterly giving basis. One of the churches in town always makes sure to donate, and they buy shoes for every kid that's on our Christmas list every year, which is huge. And then, let's see, at the end of the year, we usually receive some funding from some of the local churches for our end of year campaign.
So the numbers you have here, 55 children, and then there's 134 forensic interviews, and then 95 children on the 3 programs. What is the total? Is that about normal for a year that you're serving that? I mean, how many what's typical?
That's typical.
About 250 or so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that'd probably be closer to 300 kids.
300 kids. Okay. And is it the policy? I mean, it looks like from reading all this material here, it looks like the policy is you're trying to keep the families together as best as possible.
So it depends on which program we're talking about. So my basic answer would always be yes, because we know best practices for families to stay together. That's what helps kids to be more successful in the long run. So my answer would be, a short answer would be yes. My long answer would be depending on which program that we're operating and how we are involved in the child's life and the family's life. So for instance, in our CASA program, we do work with the court, and we are trying to make sure that children are reunited if that is what's in their best interest. Now, that's not always the case, but most of the time it is. And so we're trying to work with the court and with DCF and the contractor who's handling the reintegration to make sure that the court has as much information about that child as possible, so that they can help the court and those agencies involved get that parent to the point where they can reintegrate with them. Now, if it gets to the point where that is not in the child's best interest, then we certainly don't advocate for that to happen. And we are very lucky that as an independent agency involved in that case, we don't have the obligation to continue to work with reintegration if we don't feel like that is what is in the child's best interest. The contractor usually does have that obligation, and Kansas Foster Care is contracted. So if everybody's on the same page there, like the contractor has to do that. We, however, can report to the judge and say, we don't think this is in the child's best interest. You know, we have all this information that we feel is against that, and we want you to take into consideration these factors when you're making decisions. And then in our Child Advocacy Center, if a parent is the perpetrator, which does happen quite often, then under no circumstance would we want to advocate for that individual to be involved in that child's life. We work tirelessly to ensure that that child is protected from perpetrators.
Have you seen over 21 years, is there any kind of a trend in this area? Is it trending up, trending down, staying about the same?
Trend in
abuse of children and this kind of
oh boy. I would say in 21 years, I have seen that the pendulum has swung back and forth several times as far as what we consider worthy of like attention from agencies. And so then that determines how many children are coming into the system and how many children are considered to be abused and neglected. And then when the pendulum swings back, we see that in an opposite direction. And I have seen that several times. That's disheartening because I feel like we should have a consistent way of determining what keeps a child safe and how we as grown-ups can work to make sure that we're doing that. If I were to say that we are seeing more kids abused or less kids abused, I really think it depends on how much money we as a whole are putting into prevention programs and how much money we are putting into making sure that we are giving adequate attention to things that are serious and problems. Because when we don't take child abuse seriously, we stop putting funding into those resources, and then the problem just perpetuates. Because one person who is raised thinking that abuse is okay will have children, and they will think that abuse is okay, and the cycle never ends. So when we start to address it and stop it, and we have good prevention programs so that we can make sure people understand what abuse is, we start to get to a point where we're addressing the issue. And I mean, I would love to work myself out of a job. If I were able to come to work one day and they said there's no more children abused, you can go home, I will gladly go find something else to do. But it's not happening.
So we talked about this earlier, but I was just curious. I don't know a lot about that CDBG. So if you were getting that through the city of Leavenworth, are you eligible to get that through other cities? Or
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you understand.
Yeah. So each city, it's my understanding, each city gets to determine how they use that funding. In the city of Leavenworth, they use some of that funding, and I can't remember the percentages, but they use some of that funding to go into to individuals, so like a homeowner per se, and then a certain percentage is allocated to nonprofit organizations. So we are able to apply and receive funding for the percentage that they allocate to nonprofit organizations, and we can only use that for rent or utility assistance. It's my understanding that the other cities that do receive CDBG funding do not allocate the funding the same way and do not have a percentage per se that is allocated the same way for nonprofits as the city of Leavenworth does.
So you said your the highest percentage of individuals served is not from Leavenworth City. Is that what I understood?
No, I don't know that our highest percentage is not from the city of Leavenworth. I actually can't recall off the top of my head. I know Leavenworth, the city of Leavenworth would be really high, if not the highest on our list.
Okay.
We do, because a significant amount of clients that we serve are served through our Child Advocacy Center. And the majority of our clients do come from the city of Leavenworth because referrals for our CAC can only come through DCF or law enforcement. So we do see a heavy referral from the city of Leavenworth. But also depending on which law enforcement entity we are working with, where there could be a high number of cases, sometimes there can just be, there can be trying to think of a way to make this make sense. So let's say you have, and I'm just totally, this is fabrication, I'm making this up, this is not something that's happening. But let's say you have a daycare and there's a person in the daycare that's abusing several children. Well, we could have 17 cases come out of one individual that's abusing several people in one place. So when something like that happens and it's kind of concentrated, then we can see a high spike in, let's say, Baser or Tonganoxie or a smaller town, and that jades our numbers.
So do you only serve Leavenworth County?
We serve Leavenworth and Atchison County.
But Atchison doesn't pay anything.
Atchison what?
Doesn't contribute.
We do not receive funding from Atchison County.
From the government.
Correct. Yeah. We receive a lot of funding from trusts and foundations in Atchison.
Mr. Colby?
So, Kelly, it would be hard for you to email me maybe a list of which cities and counties your clients.
It would not be hard. I can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll work on that.
Mr. Smith?
I have nothing else. Thank you.
But if we're good, we're going to...
And really all I need is a number, like a total number from the city and a total number from
For just Leavenworth?
clients. So how many of your clients come from Atchison County? How many of your clients come from Leavenworth City? How many of your clients come from Tongi City? Something like that.
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Everybody good? Keep rolling? Okay. Bear Clinic.
Come on down.
Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for having us and giving us the opportunity to be here. My name is Mackenzie Murley. I'm the new executive director at Sparrow Women's Clinic. Patty sends her regrets. She had a prior obligation today and could not attend. And my trusty sidekick with me today is Beth Jones. She's our nurse manager at the clinic. So Sparrow opened its doors in 2022. We occupy now 2 suites above the UPS store in Lansing. As you may have read in the letter that was provided, our clinic offers medical-grade pregnancy tests, first trimester ultrasounds, STI testing, abortion pill reversal therapy, CanCare eligibility determination and applications, as well as pregnancy and parenting education and resources. And I'll let Beth speak a little more specifically to our offerings from a medical standpoint.
I would just like to say that the fact that we have the free services to, and mostly Leavenworth County, but anybody that can come in with having a free pregnancy test, having free STI tests, and then the following sonogram is not offered anywhere else. And it's highly important for a woman who's just found out she's pregnant to go through something called the pregnancy confirmation. So pregnancy verification is just getting a pregnancy test. You have the hormones, you know you're pregnant. But what's important is having the confirmation, which we do there. So they do a medical grade pregnancy test, and then we do the ultrasound, which shows that the pregnancy is safe by having fluid inside the uterus with the pregnancy, the baby being in the uterus. Why this is important is that in first trimester, most of our clients or patients are not really able to seek care with a professional OBGYN yet. They don't usually see them until later in the first trimester. So there can be so many complications that would not be caught, like one being an ectopic pregnancy. And we have had that happen. We have discovered a young woman who was having an ectopic pregnancy and then did seek care that she would not have discovered or known, and she did have life-saving emergency surgery for coming to us. We also have the abortion pill reversal. We are part of the national hotline. So if a woman has decided she was doing the abortion pills and she has taken the first pill and then changes her mind, there's a time frame, 72 hours, that she can then be given progesterone, which blocks the first medication and can successfully keep her pregnancy. And last year, in February, we got one of the hotline phone calls. A woman had taken the first pill, pressured to take the first pill, changed her mind and was very upset. So she got online and looked and found that there was a hotline. She called. The hotline directed her to us. She ended up meeting us in the morning, and we did her pregnancy confirmation, found that the baby was still alive and viable, and we started her on the progesterone. She left, then she went to her provider after that and was continued on progesterone. And in July of last year, she delivered a 7-pound, 7-ounce baby. So because of us, those are two critical medical things that we have provided for our area.
Yep, and as Beth spoke to, we are the only clinic in the county that offers these resources. We do partner with surrounding clinics across state lines as well as in Kansas, but in terms of our county, we are the only providers. In the past year and a half, we also expanded our offerings into an adjacent suite next to the clinic that was named Sparrow's Nest. And Sparrow's Nest houses our Earn While You Learn program. And so really any parent, but especially for our women who come on the clinic side, we try to make a point to take them over to the nest during their appointments to show the ongoing support and resources that are available to them if they decide to parent. So with that Earn While You Learn program, we have over 100 classes that parents can come in and choose to watch. Through coming and attending those classes, they earn points that they're then able to spend in our baby boutique, in which we have material support such as diapers, wipes, baby clothes, car seats, toys, additional items that are geared towards ages 0 to 5. So we really, on the Nest side, try to fill the gap for families and really accompany both mothers and fathers who are choosing to parent. Our clinic really exists to save and change lives, yes, in Leavenworth County, but we'll accept anyone who walks through our doors. Through last year's funding, we were able to expand our team, give some of our employees raises. We do only have 5 paid employees on an over 50-member team, so we consider it a great gift that we are able to pay the employees that we have. We would love to expand our paid team in the future. Your funding last year also allowed us to obtain 2 storage units in Leavenworth. We love our spaces that we occupy, but are running short on space. We are expanding rapidly in the 3.5 years that we've been open. And we were also able to offer sonography training and increase the number of nurses that serve our clinic. So that was a huge benefit. This year's request, what we would hope to do with the funding was in part outlined in the letter, but we are seeing an increase in our monthly rent in the spaces that we're in. We don't own, we rent, and there are maintenance fees that are inconsistent and have been tacked onto our monthly rate. So we would really love to be able to explore the opportunity further to find a more permanent location in the county. And we also have long-term plans of opening a maternity home within the county as well. Both 2 very significant expenses that your funding would be able to help us achieve. As Beth mentioned as well, all of our client services are 100% free. So any woman or man who walks through our doors will not be charged for any services that they receive from us. and that is made possible through your generosity, as well as individual donors, community partners, and a few churches as well who support our mission.
Willing to take questions? Commissioner Duff.
I don't have any questions. I know that they need money.
Commissioner Reed. Mr. Cox.
I understand.
Okay, I do have a couple questions. The current law in Kansas, if you're seeking an abortion in Kansas, you can get the pill through telemedicine, correct?
Yes.
And can you kind of walk us through how they do that? And my issue here is, would they be able to catch a ectopic pregnancy just via telemedicine?
No, they would not, because from what I'm aware of, you can go online to all these, there's all kinds of different services, telehealth, that you can choose. And you put in your information, put in your last menstrual period, and that will figure out where your pregnancy would be. And then if you are under 10 weeks and 6 days, they can offer you the pills without you seeing a doctor or without you having to have an ultrasound.
So if you did that and you accessed those pills and you did have an ectopic pregnancy, what could be the consequences of that?
Well, the ectopic pregnancy would not be affected really by the progesterone and the progesterone blocker. So you would think that you had a successful abortion, but the pregnancy could still be in the fallopian tube, which then could rupture and is life-threatening for the mother. They have internal bleeding and it's a significant medical emergency. But they
So it could be missed because of the way we're doing this in Kansas right now. You could miss an ectopic pregnancy and it could endanger a woman.
Yes.
Another question. Can you tell me why is the need for these services increasing or decreasing? Or well, I notice you're coming for this request that's an increase, but tell us specifically in Kansas, why is the need increasing for this service?
So looking at past numbers, and now we have both the clinic side and the nest side. In 2024, we served 99 clients over the course of the year. In 2025, we served 155 clients. And so far, only being in May in 2026, we're on track to serve a similar number as last year. Going back to your questions for our nurse manager, abortion is a legal option in Kansas, and a big part of why we exist is to let families know that there are alternative options. And our mission is to fill the gap for families and truly be able to accompany them. There are already enough nerves, I would say, for all of us in this room to find out that you're expecting a child, but especially for a woman or a young couple who lacks community resources, who lacks family support, I would imagine those nerves would be even greater. And so, circling back to your question, I would say there's a great need where I are, of the state, to accompany and support pregnant and parenting families, but in Kansas especially, given our climate and the options that are available and often encouraged to Kansas residents, I think that speaks to a significant need for our ministry and our services that we're able to offer.
Okay, and one last question is, we don't have a birthing center in the county, and what I would hope is that your organization and other organizations would kind of have a long-term vision that we can bring a birthing. I mean, I could see the combination that we could work together with healthcare providers to get a birthing center into Leavenworth County. Has that ever been broached or talked about?
I'll bring it up at our board meeting tomorrow. I think that's a wonderful idea, and as a new mom, I just gave birth to my first daughter last May. We were all the way down in Olathe for that delivery, and it would be wonderful to have a closer location.
So, well, that's all I have. Commissioner Duff?
One of the things with the chairman I think that people should be aware of is it's much easier now to obtain those tablets, that medicine that people are getting. And one of the things that happened through telemedicine is that a supplier of those drugs can actually attach the medicine to a drone. and to actually deliver it, you're not surprised, are you? And actually supply it to outlying areas where a person can actually get it. And that was something that was very disheartening to hear in Topeka. But that's one of the reasons why we're having such an increase in individuals in Kansas that are getting abortions.
And on that note, we just received a few weeks ago those statistics in Kansas from 2024. We don't even have 2025 statistics yet, but there were over 19,000 abortions in our state.
That are reported.
That are reported, correct.
Yeah. Think of the ones that are not reported.
Commissioner,
That's all I got.
Commissioner Reed? Mr. Culberson? Just last, of the 19,000, how many were from out of state?
That's a great question. I'm sure that's available in the report. I can certainly look.
I think it's the bulk of them.
Yep.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along. We're only about 2 hours behind. We should. Sorry, guys. You're on the. When you're at the end of the line, you know.
I think it's the chair's fault. Well,
me too. Riverside Resources, come on down.
Finally.
Ladies have been very patient.
Everybody has.
Hello.
Hello.
I am Michelle Hill. I'm the Executive Director at Riverside Resources.
I'm Shannon Flack, the Finance Director.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time today. We appreciate it, and because we know you guys have a lot on your plate, so I'm going to keep this very brief. I just wanted to go over some numbers. These are some of the numbers that the money that we have outgoing for each of our employees. Okay, we've got, let's see, how many employees? 37 employees. Out of those 37, only 16 of them take health insurance. Our health insurance, our cost to Riverside Resources is $13,079.98. That's only our portion. That doesn't include the employee's portion a month. And of course, as you all are aware, the price of gas has gone up to about $4, between $4 and $4.20 a gallon. We have 7 vehicles that we transport adults with special needs to places of employment, volunteer opportunities, home and work. So, of course, that's a big expense that, I mean, we had budgeted a little over budget for that, but that wasn't even adequate at that point. The Department of Disability and Aging Adult Services are coming out with a community support waiver starting in October, and they would like providers of IDD to start providing these services as well. We used to call this kind of service a supported living or just supported employment. What we do now is that we provide life skills, soft skills, employment skills to get people ready to go out and, get a job. What KDADS would like us to do and CMS would like us to do and other providers like Riverside is get people gainfully employed out in the community to where we can take the person, set them up for success, have a business owner hire that person directly, and then we do a coaching almost like a vocational rehabilitation, but on a provider level. We used to have enclaves that would go around. We used to do a cleaning enclave at Great Western. We used to do one at the Riverfront Apartments. Over the years, due to COVID, of course, Great Western went away at that point. We've had several apartment buildings that we were cleaning, and a lot of places have opted to go a different route because they can hire people cheaper to do it at night instead of during the day. So we've got one contract left that we're doing with some of our folks, and that's one time a month, and we get $115 from that. So This year, we're requesting 85. I know last year we received 60, and we're very thankful for that. But with the changes of us trying to get people a little more integrated in the community, you know, at the price of more gas, just like everyone else, trying to get people to hire our folks and for us to be able to support them adequately out in the community and make them successful, help them be successful at an independent job. It's going to take more staff, you know, more time. And so that's why we came to you today to request that. Do you have any questions for me?
We will. Commissioner Duff.
I have any questions?
No. Commissioner?
Not at all.
I will ask faith-based groups and churches. Do you work with those organizations maybe as a source of funding, or have you reached out to those groups?
Yes, you can.
We did have 2 cleaning contracts with
St. Paul Lutheran.
With St. Paul Lutheran Church. We did the church and the school. We were doing the cleaning with the school for a couple of years. So we received funds from them. Of course, they were paying for service for some of our people. We had that for a couple of years. They opted to hire someone who would come in overnight and wax floors and that sort of thing. So, and with the church, we only did the church for about 3 or 4 months while their janitor had been hurt and out on medical leave. So we kind of covered that too. So we are open to taking any kind of help or donations from any faith-based group. Thus far, we've only done the contract, which the state of Kansas is wanting us to go away from the actual contracts.
They don't really want to see us have contract work any longer. You know, a long time ago, we used to do piece rates where we would, like CRL, we had a contract with Clinical Reference Laboratories. They would ship all of these pieces, and then we would have our folks put these together as insurance test kits. And then we would bundle them up and send them back, and they would pay us 35 cents a kit for these. And so then we could pay our folks for putting these things together, and I taught them things like, you know, this is part teamwork, this is part of if you work independently, all of that. Well, the state of Kansas over time has said we're not doing that anymore. We want people truly integrated in the community. So now we kind of have to switch gears and look at this completely differently. And we do have some people that have severe disabilities where that's not going to work for them. So we have to really try to figure out what we're going to do to help those people succeed and be as independent as possible and figure that out. So we're really kind of struggling on that end of it. The employment piece is easy enough once we get the places that would entertain hiring some of our folks. We did have Queens of Clean a couple years ago. They hired a little group of our folks, and then that didn't last but a month, and they canceled our contract. So
are you familiar with Kathy Hart's working?
Yes.
My daughter goes there.
Yeah.
Mrs. Farnsworth is very good at getting the Catholic school set up. They come and they clean at the Catholic school and the barbecue restaurant and those kind of things. Seems very successful, and they're actually moving into residential. I think you have residential as well.
Yes, we have residential.
How many do you have in your residential?
24.
24.
Yeah.
And do they have all of them jobs or some of them jobs?
They come to, well, a couple of them have worked out in the community already. One of them works for a lawn care service. One of them works at Price Chopper, I believe. Is it Price Chopper? Oh, no, Walmart in Motor Springs. So we've got a few people here and there that have independent jobs, but most of them right now attend our day service, which works on, employment skills and daily living skills and all of the soft skills that you would need out in the community.
So this IDD waiver, how are we doing on that waiting list? Is that waiting list?
The waiting list is being reduced. The problem is, again, it's still a lot of providers don't have capacity. They don't have the space for any more people. They don't have the staffing to support the people adequately. A lot of the folks that we get notification that this person is now off the waiting list are what we call dual diagnosis people. Their primary diagnosis is intellectual and developmental disability, But then their secondary diagnosis could be anywhere from schizophrenia to schizoaffective to bipolar. So there's always a contributing mental illness that goes hand in hand. But because their primary diagnosis is IDD, we're limited on what kind of supports we can offer or try to find for them.
Can you coordinate or reach out to, like Mrs. Farnsworth started hers herself? Mm-hmm. Is there a way we can kind of have an instructional system where we teach people to start these?
Yeah.
Or has the state done anything about that?
No.
Well, that's important.
I believe it's important, yes. And I also believe that, my husband works in Shawnee. We live here in Leavenworth. But he is acquaintances with the executive director of Friends of JCDS, which is Johnson County Developmental Services. And she started the organization that puts together community members, and they do fundraisers and things like that. So they kind of assist in getting different services and different organizations involved in the whole process of housing people, adults with developmental disabilities, and employment, and all kinds of things. So I would really eventually like to get something like that started in Leavenworth County, to where we have like a Friends of Leavenworth County adults, or something.
Yeah.
Because the resources are very few, and that's sad to say. I mean, things have changed over the years, but not to the point I feel like they should be by now.
I agree. So, Commissioner Dunn.
Questions?
I don't have any.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, how about the fair building and premium? You guys still awake?
Thank you so much.
I didn't know if you were going to be able to get up there. Walk.
And good afternoon, Commissioners. I had to change good morning to good afternoon. That's quite all right.
We apologize for that.
No. My name is Marlo McGee. I'm the treasurer for the Leavenworth County Fair Association. We have President Mike Johnson, Vice President Mike Kissinger. Thank you again for the opportunity to present this year on behalf of the association. A sincere thanks, continued thanks to the commissioners for their support, past and present, to the Leavenworth County Fair Association. As we mentioned last year, we're looking forward to our centennial anniversary this year. Obviously, this is the big event for the Leavenworth County Fair Association. We are one of the largest county fairs in the state of Kansas. Our fair this year is July 28th to August 1st. And as I said, this is the event of the year for us. Offering many family-friendly events. And of course, the main support is for our 4-H participants and open class participants. A bit of background financials and our revenue stream. The county appropriation has not changed since '24. Once again, we are very appreciative of what you have given us and are very grateful for those funds. Just a bit of a recap for our fair for 2025. Our expenses for the fair itself were $94,700 and revenue of $183,200. We had a very successful fair due to the weather. So we are always subject to the weather for folks to come out and attend. Yes, fair revenue was up 16.9% year over year. Fair expenses increased minimally at 3.3%. This year we are offering 4 nights of entertainment. We engaged a new rodeo provider this year, so we have an activity coming up on Wednesday night, which we hope will increase our revenue for the year. Of course, that new rodeo vendor, I say of course, that vendor is at a higher cost, but we hope that will offer some increased or better entertainment
for this year. The building rent, I know that's come up in the past as to what do we do to increase or do to help ourselves. We raised our building rent 2 years in a row. We don't intend to raise that for 2027. We will vote on that next month. But we feel like that we are a very budget-friendly venue for folks. There are any number of venues around for folks to choose barns for weddings and whatnot. So we have a lot of competition in that regard. So we will likely keep our rate increase zero for this year. Our 2026 planned expense budget is around $180,000 for this year, basically unchanged from last year. Expected income budget of $205,000. Of course, contractual expenses continue to increase, and those limited funds, the increase that we do get from the fair event, we continue to struggle with making much needed capital improvements. We did have some capital projects for 2025 last year. I am very pleased to report we paid a total of $56,028. We had the admin building lighting project at the beginning of January, so that's January 27th. That was paid off. The horticultural barn remodel, that is a bit in progress, but we paid $2,700 towards that effort, that renovation. And then last but not least, we paid off our mortgage debt for the electrical project that was taken out in 2024. We felt like it was financially imprudent to pay off that debt with the funds that we had. And so we certainly want to maintain a debt-free organization. The rabbit barn, if you've been by there, the decision was made. We have many competing capital projects. The decision was made this year to actually tear down that building. It's one of the oldest buildings on the property. And as the contractor was tearing that down, there were actually poles that actually just fell over, so they were rotting off at the ground. We're not ready to announce it just yet, but we've had some business support for that project. We will be advertising those and sponsoring those. The contractors that put up the barn, and we're getting some business assistance to help with concrete, electrical to finish that project. The next page just shows our current list of capital improvement projects. We've got about $250,000 in projects that we would like to do. I mentioned the horticultural barn. To finish that is probably another $5,000 to complete that renovation. The rabbit barn, as I mentioned, that is scheduled to be complete in July. And then most importantly, and we just kind of keep pushing it down the road, is the east and west RV parks are in desperate need of electrical infrastructure upgrades. Finally, going into 2026, I anticipate a budget surplus of about $25,000. Not an extensive margin there, so our budget ask will remain the same, and we will be very appreciative of keeping that ask the same for the fair building. And then, of course, the premium budget, maintaining that as it was last year. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present. Any questions for us?
Mr. Dove.
Nothing yet.
Commissioner Culberson.
I thought you guys knocked out some projects you had, and you had it paid off, that's even more exciting.
Yes.
Good job, guys. I don't have anything else.
And you got it set up on a capital improvement now. You're rolling forward.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So am I reading it right? You're asking for $50,000 for fair, and then the premium $12,250.
$12,250. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what we got last year.
Unchanged.
Yeah, it's like revenue neutral, huh?
Just help us. That's all we
Yes.
And sometimes it looks like we do have extra money, but if you have a bad fair, you could be $30,000 down. Your premium. We still have to pay our utilities and
I think that you guys do the best job. I mean, that is, in a year, what other big venue or event in Leavenworth County is there like that brings everybody together?
It's the main
Well,
one.
that's a pretty reasonable place to go for an evening, I'd say that, for
Yeah.
everybody in the county from any age, from 1 day to 100. I mean,
I did-
we have holes and this and that.
Mike would be charged of weather again, so let's get another.
If you keep the weather coming, we'll have a good time.
And have you made contact with Bill for the mowing? We certainly want to do that again.
Do what now?
Bill Knoll. Make contact with him, make sure.
Oh, no, to get the roadside,
Yeah,
no, we
no.
need to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up, yes.
And then just thank you for all you do.
Yeah, guys, it's a quality of life issue. I've always said that for people to come out, so it's nice to be able to have something for the entire county. So keep up the good work.
Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Yeah. That's it. It's painless. Well, it's a little painful for a few hours, but
Yeah, it's a long day.
Just glad to see you.
Take care. And finally,
and last but not least, the extension office.
who's been down there for 10 days waiting on us.
You probably have some animals out there waiting on you, don't you?
Oh, I told my family, I said, it should be fast, I should be home no later than noon.
You gotta remember, we got a new chairman this year.
Oh, boy.
And he just can't stop.
Well, thank you guys. I'm Jacob Thomas, I'm the president of the Extension Council, and I've got
Sonia Murphy, I'm the unit director and Forage Development Extension Agent for Leavenworth County Extension.
Anita Louise Granfrey, Family Consumer Sciences Agent here in Leavenworth County.
Welcome.
So, spare us a whole lot of time. I mean, I gave you guys a pretty good update, 4 or 6 weeks ago about some of the things we've been doing. So we can jump right in to our budget request. So our budget has been flat for the last 5 years, and it's been down for the last 20. We're funded at a lower level today than we were 20 years ago. I mean, even the last time it was higher than what it is right now was 2010, if you look at page 3. So we're requesting what amounts to about a 10% increase, just to try to keep up with cost of living expenses and give our agents a raise that they well deserve. We've been doing remarkable things with our living, and we're one of the few agencies in the county that we interact with people from in the womb all the way until the end of life. And so that's something that's really unique to our programming, is that we've got something that covers people their entire lives. I think our biggest challenge for coming up this year is our vehicles are aging out. So we as a board, had bought vehicles in 2009 and 2012. How many of you are still driving a vehicle from 2009?
You say they're running good downhill.
Really, that's about when we bought them, and then things changed, and our budgets got cut, and so we haven't been able to set that money aside into the capital outlay.
I can see on the thing you laid it out here. Yeah. I got you. Okay, thank you.
Just a second. I had a question. Mr. Lawfrey, is their organization eligible to participate in our
enterprise?
Yeah.
They're not part of the county. They do not. They have their own board. They can certainly reach out to Enterprise, but they're not eligible for our program.
They are not.
Okay. That's one of my hopes out of this, was at least get a meeting maybe with Mr. Lawfrey about that. But if we're not eligible in the counties,
it doesn't. Would they be able to potentially get the same rate out of it? They'd have to visit with Enterprise.
They'd have to visit with Enterprise.
Okay.
So if it went through us, it would be us. which means that we are then liable for the payments, the insurance, and everything else on those. That's why they can't go through the county's program.
Okay.
Okay.
But that at least gives us and now we have a direction to go on that front. So thank you. The other thing I guess I'd like to point out, and I know I did this a couple weeks ago, is just how much our volunteers, how many volunteer hours we have put in, and how much they contribute to us. And so, I mean, we have a relatively small budget, request versus everything that we offer, and then how much our volunteers help and the actual impact they have in our community. And so, I'd love to open it up to questions. Just get out of here before 4.
Commissioner Tubb.
No questions.
Mr. Culberson.
Absolutely not.
Tell us what, if I was a county taxpayer,
okay,
and I want to know what the county extension does for me, for a county, what do you do? And tell us how you benefit our kids. Tell us about 4-H. Tell us what you do.
I'm going to be here all day now.
In 2 minutes.
You're a leader, you would like.
We can all because I have a whole list. So I can talk a little bit about the youth side. I target ages really school age, so 5 years of age up to 18 years of age, through 2 different avenues. So the first avenue is the traditional 4-H program, which we have 10 county clubs in the county, about 500 or so youth who participate in that traditional program. That is what brings people to the county fair, right? Because all those kids are showing off all their hard work through the year. When I also work within what I consider non-traditional or more outreach programming, and that is doing having 4-H program within the school systems, within our community library, reaching those kids that may not have the opportunity to have a traditional 4-H experience. As a state, we have a pretty bold goal by 2030 that every kiddo would have some sort of 4-H experience within their time that they're in school. And we're working to that. We called April our mega school enrichment month. We touched over 600 kids in the county just in the month of April doing programming. I was in Henry, I was in Anthony School, I was in Baser Intermediate, Blackhawk Elementary School in Baser, Lansing Elementary School, Lansing Intermediate School, so all over the county, basically. And then we're working more to get into those schools that we maybe don't have a good presence in. In fact, we have a meeting next week with the the principal at Pleasant Ridge. And then working at making connection in Tongi as well. So we also have some library programming that we have partnering with our Leavenworth Library to do some youth programming over the summer. We have 2 different events, 1st of June and then the end of June. So that's kind of what we've been doing on the youth side of things. And I'll let Anita talk about, she kind of hits the other portions.
Yes, I hit the before people are born until somebody's end of their time. And what a great question to ask, because nothing excites me more as an agent than to talk about the work that not only I do, but the work that the other agents and everyone else in our office does. So the Family Consumer Sciences side, we've been really focused on nutritional education and also preventative programs. So one of the big programs that we're able to offer in the county is a series called Dining with Diabetes that focuses on individuals who have type 2 diabetes and those who may be on the cusp. So pre-diabetes. And it is really a curriculum that was focused on the dining piece and also the food preparation piece. But throughout the 4-part series, we're also focusing on making sure that the individuals are getting their levels checked, that they are meeting with their healthcare provider team, and also they are aware that this is a really hard chronic illness, and so that there are support services for them, not only through Extension, but also through other county sources as well. Another really exciting initiative that we've been able to utilize our space, our Extension office for, has been a host site for continuing educational units for early childhood providers, not only within the county of Leavenworth, but also targeting and working with an organization that works with a lot of early childhood providers in the metro. So people from Jefferson County, from Johnson County, Wyandotte County, even on the Missouri side, are coming here to Leavenworth to take some of those early childhood continuing ed that we are able to provide at no cost to those. Another exciting piece that we're doing in family consumer sciences includes some things that you may not think of. So think about home safety. We were able to bring in one of our radon specialists through main campus at no cost to the community, at no cost to the constituents in each of your districts, to be able to tell them about what radon can do to our bodies. A lot of people are not aware that when they purchase their home, they think they do their radon check and they are good. However, they do need to do their due diligence and testing every 5 years. We provide radon test kits in our office along with soil sampling that gets sent to main campus and water lab tests. Those are at nominal cost, if not free. So those are some other non-traditional programs that we're able to offer aside from serving youth, the school districts, and then also some of our nutritional education programs.
Awesome.
Jacob, if you'd like to talk about ag.
I would say, on the agricultural side, I guess agriculture, it's also natural resources. Homeowners can call in. They've got a problem with tree, shrub, grass. What is this pest? Maybe new person's bought some property. What do I have to do if I want to build a pond on my property? I bought a new property, it has this pond, and it's all green. Why is this pond so ugly, disgusting green? What's going on here? We offer those resources, mostly free. Soil sampling is a cost, but that pretty nominal.
Well, and we don't make anything off of soil
No.
sampling. We charge what K-State charges us to do the soil sample. So,
So we offer all sorts of, assistance, advice, identification, and, access to the resources from K-State and other universities to give people the best information possible.
I want to touch too, we have over 90 master gardeners who give over 2,000 hours a year back to the community when it comes to either education or they run a hotline. So, my tomato has this color on it. I don't know what's going on. What do I need to do? They can call in. Master gardeners will help them. We've had requests where, I want to landscape this area. What can I help to do that? And they will help these are the native plants, or these are plants that you can do. This will perform well here, those type of things. So they're also a very valuable resource that we provide to the community.
And just speaking about volunteers, Master Gardeners do an awesome job. We also have a small Master Food Volunteer program, and we have many, many volunteers through our traditional 4-H program, which total up to a little under 200 volunteers through Extension, which would not be available to the community unless we have support staff to help them with some of their initiatives.
You ever work with outside groups like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Trail Life, any of those outside groups?
Work as in how, I guess.
Like work together doing events or things?
We definitely have had requests to participate in different events that they may be also at. Our 4-Hers, all the times we get calls. We got one the other day just saying, hey, I have an opportunity, I need some help or volunteers. You have 4-Hers that are willing to do that. So we get those kind of requests. I don't know if we necessarily work hand in hand with Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts because we're kind of in that same youth development role. But
You interact with them.
yeah, I would say yes. I had a 4-Her call me the other day. They during the Eagle Scout project and want to know if they could also use it as their leadership project for 4-H. So there is definitely some overlap.
Did you say yes?
Oh, yes, of course. So there's definitely overlap.
Commissioner Dove?
No.
All right. Well, we won't hold you up anymore. Get back to work, Jacob.
We appreciate your support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time and waiting. What day is it?
No idea. I know I'm hungry though.
I'm with you.
Banana pudding sounds good right about now. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
And that's it. But I don't know if Mr. Lawford, did you have a budget discussion you wanted to carry
Please
on?
say
Or?
no.
Not today.
Not today. All right. Is there a motion? No, we don't need one. We're
We just got
done.
We're in.
We're done.